If you've been thinking, I feel behind in life, I want to start with a scientific question. Behind compared to what? Behind isn't a feeling, it's a measurement. And it's usually us judging ourselves against some imaginary timeline that doesn't even exist. Today, I'm going to show you how to recalibrate that thought so you can extract real information and stop letting this thought run your life. The goal is not to silence this thought, it's to better understand it. So let's dive in.
One, two, whoo!
Welcome to Authenticity Lab. This is the podcast you come to when life feels a little off and you want to feel more like yourself. I'm Dr. Kelsey Miles. I'm a musician and a chemistry professor. I teach you how to think like a scientist and create like an artist because developing the life that you actually want requires you to have critical thinking, much like a scientist, and also creative insights, much like an artist. Each episode helps you build self-trust one small life experiment at a time. And this season, we are looking at questions that we all often have, usually silently or ask ourselves late at night. And today we're talking about one that comes up a lot. Why do I feel behind in my life? In my most recent keynote called Life Experiments, I had everyone who attended write on a piece of paper something that feels uncertain in their life. And one person wrote, I always feel behind in life. And when I asked the room, who here feels like they are behind in their life, every single person raised their hand. Not most, every single person raised their hand. This tells me this is not a personal defect. This is a really common cognitive pattern that we all have. I started to read some Reddit posts to better understand this question, and this comes up a lot. What I noticed was that each person that talked about feeling behind in their life had a different point of measurement. Check this out. I'm going to read several of them. I feel behind in life at 30. I turned 30 a month ago, and I can't say I feel any different as a person in comparison to when I was 25. I know that I'm mature in some ways, but I feel immature in others. And they go on to talk about how they are comparing themselves to how they think they should be. They're comparing themselves to when they were younger, thinking they should be further. Let's go through another one. I'm nearly 40 and feel very behind and off course. I'm not achieving anything. I'm sore, tired, and drained mentally. I often feel like it's too late, and this is just what life is. Has anyone in here made drastic changes and essentially leveled up post 40? This person is thinking about a timeline about where they think they should be at 40. Here's another one. Any of you ever feel behind in life? For example, me in my 30s, only just starting college again this past year, and I can't even afford my own apartment at this point in time. I somehow feel like I'm 10 years behind where I would theoretically want to be. Here's another. I'm 32, feeling empty and left behind in life. No progress, no confidence, need advice. And within their post, they say, there are no marriage prospects either. Most of my friends are married or have moved ahead in life. I feel alone, unattractive, and left behind. I never thought I'd be this stuck at 32. These are people with different ages, different careers, different timelines, different situations, and the pattern is absolutely identical. They are comparing themselves to some imaginary timeline that either isn't theirs or it's in their head that it could have been theirs. To actually be behind requires three things. You are comparing it to a timeline, a benchmark, and a comparison group. And you saw that in all of those Reddit posts I read. Now, our brain will develop this model of what it should look like, and that's how we decide then that we are behind. But what if the model is wrong? We forget that sometimes we need to question the model that our brain has decided we need to compare ourselves to. It senses a gap between reality and expectation. So it starts to scan for evidence. And when you start to feel like you're behind, you just start to scan for all the ways that you're behind. In all of these Reddit posts, they started to name all of the ways in which they're behind in life. It usually starts with a little seed. Something happens. Your reality doesn't match your expectation. And then your brain starts to scan for evidence for that gap. And when your brain starts to replay all of the missed opportunities or all the potential ways that you are quote unquote behind, you literally stop existing in the now. You're using all your brain power to think about future or past. You're not observing your current life, you're observing a comparison model. So let's calibrate. What specifically are you behind in? Be really clear with yourself. Is it career, relationship, money, your identity? And compared to who? Who are you behind? Are you behind who you thought you would be? Are you behind your friends? Are you behind your family? Are you behind the highlight reel of someone on social media? And now here's the hardest question. If you really are behind, what does that say about you? Does it mean you're failing? You're late? Does it mean you wasted your life? Does it mean you missed your chance? That's the hard truth we're actually looking at. That's the belief that needs some of your attention. Here's where advice usually gets it wrong. Most of the advice that I saw on Reddit or that we get from our friends and family in good faith, we hear, well, don't compare yourself to others. But the discomfort you feel is real. And that discomfort, we forget that there's tons of information there for us. So what if instead of just telling yourself, I just need to stop doing that, what if you lean into that discomfort? The question isn't anymore, am I behind? The question is this signal that I'm feeling, is this distorted because I have the wrong model? Or is it a real desire of mine? Is there something I actually want to improve on? We have to separate these two. Is it a distortion or is it a desire? A distortion is coming from an unrealistic metric, an unrealistic model, but a desire can be something you genuinely want to build towards. Calibration can help you separate shame from aspiration. So here's your experiment for this week. Every time you have that thought, I feel behind, don't argue with it. Instead, ask, what is the measurement? From here, you can decide if it's a distortion of some made up model or is it some desire, some aspiration? If it's a made up model, consciously reset the benchmark. But if it's a desire, we're going to design one small move. Here's the thing that happens when you feel behind and you can consistently have that thought. If it is coming from a desire, you'll then move into feeling stuck if you don't do something about it. So when you feel behind, consider it a way that you can catch yourself before you end up feeling worse and feeling stuck. So what does it mean to design a small move? This could be as simple as researching a topic for 20 minutes. Maybe you reach out to some person. You could sign up for a class. You can update one document. These are small experiments you can run. The desire will tell you the flavor of what experiment you want to run. Progress removes shame, and shame without momentum just amplifies it. To wrap up this episode, you are not behind, you're comparing yourself. And the discomfort you feel, it might simply just be from a distorted model that you're comparing yourself to. And it could also have a desire underneath it, something you want to move towards. And when you compare without calibrating, you will always feel deficient. Remember, you build self-trust one small life experiment at a time. So be bold, be curious, and be you. And I'll see you in the next episode.
Yeah, that house will always call you.